Hello and welcome to our presentation about the Uyghurs genocide, made by Amorocho and Pablo Noreña. In the index, we have the historical background and origins of the conflict, groups and sites involved, date of the genocide, and conclusions.
Xinjiang is a large Central Asian region within the People's Republic of China. In the past, Chinese dynasties exerted control over parts of this modern territory. During the 1700s, the expansion of the Manchu-led Qing dynasty took the power in place and also expanded towards Tibet and Mongolia. Finally, the Qing Empire saw how Xinjiang won its independence during the Dugan Revolt between 1862 and 1877. Then, in 1912, with the beginning of the Republican era, the Republic of China was the official sovereign state inside mainland China, before the central government moved to Taiwan. From that moment until 1949, the region was semi-autonomous and the warlords controlled everything. In 1933, the Camel Rebellion caused the formation of an Islamic State known as the First East Turkestan Republic. Later on, supported by the Soviets, the warlord Chiang Kai put an end to this invasion, and years later the Second East Turkestan Republic would suffer another dissolution. Finally, in 1949, the People's Republic of China, commonly known as China, absorbed the region and regained control. The Xinjiang conflict is an ongoing ethnic geopolitical conflict in what is now China's far northwest autonomous region. Xinjiang is a region that hosts numerous minority groups. While the Uyghurs represent 45% of the population, Hans is 40%. Urumqi is the capital and its economy moves around the industries and their factories. It has a population of 2.3 million people, of which 75% are Han and 12.8% Uyghur. In general, Uyghurs and the mostly Han government disagree on which group has a greater historical claim to the Xinjiang region. The Uyghurs believe their ancestors were indigenous to the area, whereas the government policy considers Xinjiang to have belonged to China since around 200 before Christ during the Han Dynasty. According to Chinese policy, Uyghurs are classified as a national minority that has no special rights to the land under the law. Once the Republic of China incorporated the region into its territory, the tension between the Uyghurs and Han Chinese started. During those years, the problem increased due to the massive state-sponsored migration of Han Chinese, the government's cultural policies, and the punishment of Uyghur expressions. Nowadays, this ethnic group is conformed by 13.5 million people. They speak four languages: Uyghur, Ainu, Mandarin, and Russian. In the religious aspect, they believe either in Sunni Islam or Buddhism. They have strong relations with the Uzbek community. At the beginning, they were just a small coalition of tile tribes in northern China, Mongolia, and the Altai Mountains. Later on, it denoted citizenship in the Uyghur Khaganate. Finally, in 1842, the Uyghur Khaganate fell and the Uyghurs were forced to migrate from Mongolia to the Tarim Basin, an endorheic basin in northwest China. Since then, the Uyghurs have traditionally inhabited a series of oases scattered across the Taklamakan Desert. Recent research has shown that Uyghurs come from many descendants that inhabited the Tarim Basin before the arrival of the Turkic Uyghurs. Some of these were the Iranic Saka tribes and the Indo-Europeans. The conquest and migrations of various Turkic tribes assimilated and replaced the local languages and culture. An estimated 80% of Xinjiang's Uyghurs still live in the Tarim Basin. The others mostly live in Urumqi, the capital. Uyghur activists identify with the Tarim mummies, remains of an ancient people inhabiting the region, but genetic evidence isn't accurate. Activists perceive this posture as a threat to the indigenous claim. There are about 12 million Uyghurs, mostly Muslims, living in Xinjiang, which is officially known as the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. They represent 0.31% of the total population of China. The name Han was derived from the name of the eponymous dynasty, which succeeded the short-lived Qin dynasty and is historically considered to be the first golden age of China's imperial era due to the power and influence it projected over much of East Asia. Most of the 1.2 billion Han Chinese people live in areas under the jurisdiction of People's Republic of China (PRC), where they constitute about 92% of its overall population. This ethnic group has been a culturally, economically, and politically dominant majority over non-Han minorities. Han Chinese are almost the majority in every Chinese province, municipality, and autonomous region except for the autonomous regions of Xinjiang and Tibet Autonomous Region. Originating from northern China, these people trace their cultural ancestry to Huaxia, the initial confederation of agricultural tribes living along the Yellow River. The term Huaxia refers to the collective Neolithic confederation of agricultural tribes Hua and Xia, who settled along the central plains around the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River in northern China. These tribes were the ancestors of the modern Han Chinese people and their civilization. The name Han people first appeared in the northern and southern dynasties, inspired by the Han dynasty, which is considered to be one of the first great eras in Chinese history. The Qin dynasty was a political period constituted by a monarchy that went from 221 to 206 before Christ. To reaffirm its control over the conquered regions, the first emperor decreed a national-wide standardization of currency, writing scripts and measurement units to unify the country economically and culturally. The Great Wall and other large infrastructure projects were started in these years. The Han dynasty then emerged from the ensuing civil wars and succeeded in establishing a much longer-lasting dynasty that started in 206 before Christ and went on until 220 after Christ. It continued many of the institutions created by the Qin dynasty but adopted a more moderate rule. Under this political system, arts and culture flourished; at the same time the military arm expanded into new regions. Finally, we could say China is one of the world's oldest and most complex civilizations, whose culture dates back thousands of years. Han Chinese is a powerful ethnic group that can guide the world's growth due to its rich historical background and population density.
And now we have the data of the genocide. Basically, US, UK, Canada, and the Netherlands have accused China of committing genocide and crimes against humanity towards the Uyghurs. China has over 1 million captives over re-education camps in Xinjiang, and basically these re-education camps are for people that are other religions than the main religion of China, so basically Muslims, Uyghurs, and other kind of minority religions, to say in some way. In this camp, torture and rape happens. Like these crimes against humanity is that they take prisoners and they torture them and rape them, and when they try to escape, they are killed by guns or another type of way. Uyghur women have been forcibly sterilized and to suppress the population and separate children from their families. This is to suppress the population of the Uyghurs, so they don't reproduce, and their children are like separated from their families, so they are cut away from their traditions and from their religion to like incorporate them into the society, without them being in the minority they were. China allegedly is trying to eliminate the unethical racial or religious group. Like I said previously, this is taken in very unhumanitarian ways, because they're trying to cut a part of China off just because they are a minority and they think differently than the main religion in China. Many Chinese residents of Xinjiang are being monitored. Basically, they are being spied on by the government and by the police. They take their phones and they look up for some type of religious sensitive content. So if they see something that they are related to Uyghurs or other minority religion, or they have some contacts about the Uyghurs, they are sent to these re-education camps and they are being treated like non-human beings basically. And they are asked for DNA samples. This happens a lot because they are told us like if they have ancestor of Uyghurs ancestors or other like religious minorities, and they take them to read the education camp. So basically, no one is safe in Xinjiang, even if it's not a minority, because the government is suppressing those people, and they basically spying on them every time, 24/7, every day of the week. Another thing I want to exclude this slide is when we talk about shoot to kill if anyone tries to escape, is basically the main source of the genocide, because Uyghurs are often trying to escape this re-education camp for obvious reasons, because they are being imprisoned without any source of cause, and they're being imprisoned without any fair trial. They are being imprisoned because they just are like a minority and they don't think the same way as the main Chinese traditions. And basically, they try to escape, and when they try to escape, Chinese police kill them when they try to escape. Basically, well, killing them just because they want freedom. And according to BBC, over 50,000 of Uyghurs are being killed because of this. And in conclusion, we have Uyghurs are being murdered for just the fact that they were born Uyghurs. So basically, what we said previously, they were being killed because they have another religion and other beliefs than the main religion of Chinese government. Another is Chinese committing genocide towards a minority, like we said previously as well. China is just murdering and torturing all these Uyghurs because they are another minority, basically. And although they are recognized by the government, Uyghurs are seen as religious terrorists, so Uyghurs are recognized as an official minority of China. But as they have another religion, they are considered as religious terrorists because they think differently and they act differently than the Chinese government. So when the government sees like another type of religion, they often go towards killing them basically. And finally, we have the references. Thank you very much for listening.